Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader and tonight we are going to focus on the Al-Daba nuclear power plant and the construction of the fourth energy reactor in it and the presentation of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on Tuesday regarding the construction of the fourth reactor of the nuclear power plant in Al-Daba in Marsa Matruh, and we will be speaking about the effects and the benefits of the nuclear energy for Egypt, the peaceful nuclear energy for the country, and more specifically for the benefit of the economy, the energy sector and the environment as well. But we will be starting straight away with the main top stories for tonight, and they come through the activities of Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry, who on Sunday phoned Philip Lazzarini, the General Commissioner of the UN Refugee Agency for Palestinians, the UNRWA. Foreign Ministry spokesman Ambassador Ahmed Abu Zaid said that the top diplomat stressed the Egyptian full support of the pivotal role the UNRWA plays under the UN mandate to provide basic services to the Palestinian refugees. He also pointed out to the huge humanitarian effort the UNRWA is making to provide safe havens to the Palestinians facing mounting crises in the Gaza Strip. Minister Shoukry added that it is unacceptable for some countries to decide to suspend funding to the agency at this delicate timing, apparently in collective punishment of the agency's workers and also of the Palestinian people over allegations that a limited number of employees are involved in the October 7th incidents. For his part, Lazzarini expressed sorrow of the suspension of the UNRWA funding and appreciated the Egyptian important role in extending aid to the Palestinian people in Gaza. As for the other top story for the Daily Debate for tonight, it comes from the activities of Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry as Egypt and Saudi Arabia on Sunday reiterated the need for an immediate ceasefire in the Gaza Strip amid a mounting death toll in the Palestinian enclave of the heavy Israeli bombardment that has also forced more civilian displacement and worsening humanitarian crisis. After meeting Saudi counterpart Faisal ibn Farhan in Cairo, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said that the move by some countries to pause the UNRWA funding is a surprise, asking whether this action is linked to the policy of collective punishment used against the civilians in Gaza. And we will be having more details regarding this meeting in the upcoming report.
Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry renewed a call for an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire in the Gaza Strip, calling on the international community to help achieve this goal. His comments came as he was addressing a joint press conference with his Saudi counterpart, Prince Faisal bin Farhan in Cairo on Sunday, following talks on bilateral relations and developments in the Middle East, notably in Gaza and the Red Sea as well as Syria. Shoukry rejected the policy of starvation and forced displacement of Palestinians in Gaza committed by the Israeli occupation forces. He also warned against the grave repercussions of the ongoing tensions in Yemen and the Red Sea on regional security and international trade, stressing the need to ensure free navigation in the region. The Egyptian top diplomat expressed astonishment at the decision by several countries to pause funding for the United Nations Refugee Agency for Palestinians, UNRWA, following allegations some of its staff were involved in the attacks on Israel. Shoukry stressed the organization's status as a main provider of aid and shelter to the Palestinian people. He also called for investigations these allegations prior to taking such decisions. For his part, the Saudi foreign minister said a ceasefire in Gaza is highly necessary, adding that his talks with Minister Shoukry also tackled promoting joint Arab action. Bin Farhan said bilateral ties also topped the agenda of talks, adding that Riyadh is willing to continue coordination with Cairo in all domains. The two ministers earlier held talks and presided over a meeting of the Joint Political Consultation Committee, which discussed ways of boosting bilateral cooperation on all levels, as well as coordinating efforts regarding a number of regional and international causes, topping the list the Gaza crisis.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate. As for the main topic for the episode for tonight, we will be focusing on Al-Daba nuclear power plant and the benefits of it, and more specifically in the upcoming report, the economic benefits of Al-Daba nuclear power plant. We will be having more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
President Fattah el-Sisi and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin on Tuesday witnessed the pouring of cement into the foundation of the fourth reactor at Daba nuclear power plant (NPP). The event, shown via video conference, marks the end of the preparatory stage and transition to the main construction phase for all the plant's four reactors. President el-Sisi said the project stands as a new landmark in the journey of achievements accomplished through the shared Egyptian-Russian collaboration throughout history. The president added that this project underscores the paramount importance the Egyptian state attaches to the energy sector, believing in its vital role as a fundamental driver of economic growth and a cornerstone of economic and social development in line with Egypt Vision 2030. Russian President Putin stated Al-Daba nuclear project will undoubtedly make a significant contribution to the development of the Egyptian economy and help strengthen its energy base. He said that our interaction is based on principles of equality, mutual respect, and consideration of each other's interests in accordance with the letter and spirit of the Agreement on Comprehensive Partnership and Strategic Cooperation signed in Sochi in 2018. The first consignment of cement was poured in the foundation of reactor number 1 in July 2022, while in November the procedure was repeated in reactor number 2. In May 2023, the process was accorded the third reactor. Daba plant is Egypt's first nuclear power station and is being constructed by a Russian company in Matruh Governorate on the shores of the Mediterranean Sea. The Russian company is building the plant's four reactors to generate nuclear energy during the station's 60-year life cycle. Additionally, Rosatom will provide training, maintenance, and repair services for 10 years after the plant's completion. It will also set up the first dry storage unit for used nuclear fuel by 2028. Egypt expects the nuclear power station to reach its full capacity by 2030. The project represents continuation of the close cooperation between Egypt and Russia in various fields, especially given the historical collaboration between the two countries dating back to the construction of the High Dam. The construction of the four reactors will be completed by 2028, followed by the operational phase. The 6-year period is not long given the plant size and its contribution to clean, safe, cost-effective, and long-term energy. Possessing peaceful nuclear technology serves Egypt in electricity production, desalination of seawater, and various industrial and agricultural sectors.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me in the studio for tonight to be focusing on such an important main topic for the episode and for the future of the country as well in different domains is Dr. Ibrahim Ismail, the Professor of Nuclear Materials and the Head of Energy and Environment Group in the Chemical Engineering Department at Cairo University. Thank you very much for being with us, Doctor.
It's my honor.
Anytime. First of all, we will be starting with the significance, with the importance of having the first nuclear power plant for Egypt. What is the importance of it?
First of all, it was an old dream for all of us in Egypt to have such a high technology power generation system.
Yes.
Regardless the amount of energy we can produce now using the natural gas or the other fossil fuels, the introduction of the nuclear is very, very important because it gives us another domain that can help in case of gas shortage or any other problem.
Yes.
And I have heard a lot of discussion like We have built so many normal combined cycle with Siemens, so we don't need this nuclear power. And this is not appropriate, and who is taking this dimension are not aware with the policy that every country should use.
Yes.
We should have what we call like mixed energy design. And in this mixed energy design, we should have different possible resources to generate energy that can help us accommodate or respond to any sudden failure or sudden problem in the supply chain and blah, blah, blah. A very clear example, what happened to Germany after they stopped using the gas from Russia?
Yes.
They had a very big problem because they don't have nuclear power. And they suffered a lot. If we go to France, they were able to respond in much better way because they have a lot of nuclear power that was going on, although they don't have enough uranium material, but they managed to get the nuclear fuel, and they didn't have any big problem with electric power like other countries had. So nowadays we have a very good mix of different energy resources in Egypt. We are approaching 20% of energy from renewable resources, from the high dam, from the wind energy, from the solar energy. And we are designing to get up to 3% from nuclear power. And this will help us to sustain the system for energy supply for Egypt.
Yes, Doctor, of course, you mentioned the diversity that we need in terms of the energy mix. But do you think that this could be helping with the power outages that we have seen over the past year or maybe 6 or 7 months, with the diversity and the mix of energy resources that we will be having for the future in the upcoming years?
For sure, especially if we know that the energy cost from nuclear power is much less compared to normal fossil fuel. For example, in Daba, we are going to install 4 reactors. Each one will give us 1,200 megawatt. The nuclear fuel needed for 1 year cost around $40 million, plus or minus a little bit. If we are going to produce the same energy over a year utilizing normal gas plant, the fuel cost will be $400 million. So it is almost 10 times.
Yes.
Another issue is, suppose the nuclear fuel price was doubled, 100% increase in the cost. This will affect the production cost by only 10%. But if we have the same for gas, natural gas, and it was doubled, this will affect our production cost by 70%. So this gives you an idea about the beauty of the nuclear power and its ability to absorb shocks in the supply chain and in cost, which we don't have if we look for natural gas or diesel or mazot or whatever other type, or coal or whatever. We will not have such freedom and such ability to absorb these shocks.
Yes, Doctor, we have seen over the past week, and more specifically on Tuesday, the virtual meeting between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin regarding the pouring of cement of the 4th reactor for the Daba nuclear power plant, which marks the first time that Russia is cooperating and helping with building a nuclear power plant in Egypt and in Africa in general through the Rosatom energy company from Russia. What is the importance and the significance for the Russian side to be dealing and helping and cooperating with Egypt and the African states in this field?
First of all, we have to understand that which country has the ability to supply us with nuclear power.
Yes.
Japan can do, South Korea can do, China can do, Russia, France, Canada, US. These are the countries that have the technology up to date, and they can build nuclear power plants.
Yes.
Why we choose Russia goes back almost 10 years ago, while the discussion with the other partners.
Yes.
Only Russians and Chinese can decide by themselves what to do, what not to do. All other countries are depending somehow on other countries. But Russia can take its decision by itself. China can take its decision by itself.
So other countries would be needing approval from other alliances?
For sure. For example, if we go to Japan, they have some part of the nuclear power licensed from General Electric, for example, from America. If we go to South Korea, they have something like that. So we decided to go with Russia because they have the ability to supply 100% by themselves. They have the technology needed. They have the safety requirement we need. Besides, they can do it and nobody can ask them to stop. If we go, for example, to Iran, Iran was building their power plant with European partner at first.
Yes.
When they have some political problems, the European partner gets out. After a long of debates, they asked Russia to come and to continue this project, and they did it for them. So doing such a project with Russia was a very wise decision.
On the other hand, why do you think Russia decided to be cooperating with Egypt to be building the first nuclear power plant in Africa?
Russia wants to go back to Africa. This is politics now, not technology or science. Russia wants to go to Africa. And they did it with us, and they do a lot of help to many other countries, especially in the sub-Saharan countries in the west of Africa. So they came because they want to come back.
Over the last 75 or 100 years, how do you see the expertise of Russia in this field?
Best.
The best?
The best.
Better than China and Japan?
I graduated from China. I got my PhD in nuclear engineering from Japan. And I have visited many nuclear power plants in Japan. And in 2014, I was called to go to Japan as a visiting professor to study the, how can I say, the solving some radiation issues in water because of the accident in Fukushima, and we did it.
Yes.
And so I know Japan very well. They are perfect, but they cannot do the plant by themselves alone. In case of China, they do it alone. But I do believe myself that the safety precautions in the Russian design is much higher. So myself was one of the people who was telling we have to go to Russia.
On the other hand, after building and constructing the nuclear power plant fully, how do you see the operation of the nuclear power plant for the first 10 years at least, with Egyptian laborers, with engineers coming from Russia? How do you think things will be going, the know-how itself?
Okay. First of all, this is not completely new to us. We had our first nuclear plant, nuclear unit, not plant, from Russia in the early 60s in Anchas. Then we had our second nuclear reactor with Argentina. So we have reactors, nuclear reactors, working in Egypt for decades now.
Yes.
This helped improving the capacity and the technicality and the background of a lot of Egyptians working in nuclear power plants, working in the nuclear authority, nuclear material authority, and so on. So we have background, we have something to rely on. We are not starting from zero. It is not a scratch project. It is a project that we have some information about. Number two, Russians have good experience, and we had good experience with them in training new technologies introduced to Egypt. We shouldn't forget that Russia built us the first steel plant in Helwan, the first coke plant in Helwan. So they transferred new technologies to us before, and we managed to absorb and we managed to operate. So I don't see any problem to do that again.
Yes, the Daba nuclear power plant will be using pressurized nuclear reactors or resources. What is the importance of having such an important technology or new technology? Because this is the same technology that is being used in Russia itself.
Yes, it is the same technology being used in Russia, in US, in Japan, everywhere. The pressurized water reactor is one of the most mature technologies in nuclear reactors.
Yes.
And it is third generation regarding the safety code. and I believe it is one of the best, if not the total best.
And does this mean that we have the capabilities needed to be building the best and the safest nuclear plant?
For sure. And I had a lot of meetings with Rosatom and some other Russian companies who is working with Rosatom. And you can't imagine how they are specific with every item they use. For example, the type of sand to be used in the concrete is specified. The aggregates is specified. The addition of some steel balls to the aggregate to get the high density concrete which can withstand the radiation. They do everything with a code that has been applied several times before. So I have to trust that.
Yes, and we have seen cooperation between Egypt and Russia, and previously with the Soviet Union as well, with building the Aswan High Dam. Do you think that this is a bigger project even than the High Dam?
It is a different project rather than big. It is not just bigger, but it is different. The technology in the nuclear power is much, much higher if compared with the High Dam. Although our High Dam was working perfectly over 70 years or 50 years now.
Yes.
So it helped us overcome a lot of trouble regarding the water shortage in the 80s during Mubarak era, and it did its job very well. And nowadays the government is doing a lot of nice work in the High Dam and a lot of work to withstand if, for any example or for any reason, the Ethiopian dam collapse.
Yes.
We now have our own plan to deal with the flood, and I am happy to convey to my people that we did all the needed measures, and a lot of work has been done, a lot of installations have been done to absorb such accident. So we are doing very well in the High Dam.
Yes, economically as well, it has its benefits, the nuclear power plant. It has its perks for the Egyptian state budget. Over 60 years, it could be generating $264 billion over that period. How do you think this is important to be having a power plant, not just for the energy sector, but for the economy and for the environment as well?
For the economy, our production of electric power from this nuclear power station will have the cheapest raw material, the cheapest fuel, the cheapest total cost. Number two, the nuclear power plant lifetime is usually designed over 60 years. If we go to the other thermal plant utilizing natural gas or other fuels,
yes,
it is between 25 to 30 on maximum. So I am having a robust machine that can work for 60 years now. As I explained before, the fuel is much cheapest, almost 10% of the fuel of other energy resources. And if we go to the environment, a lot of people are afraid of that. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
Because they are not aware with the technology, and they are not aware with the level of risk. For example, every movement I am doing, it has some risk. If I am going to move from here to my home, I lose my car, I can take a car accident.
Yes.
So every action having its own risk. But when you go to nuclear power station, they have spent, the scientists and the engineers, very long time to modify and upgrade and modify and upgrade to avoid every possible mistake. And the number of people who suffer because of nuclear failures or nuclear accident is much, much, much less compared to those suffered because of future fuel problems and accidents.
Yes.
The number of people died in one platform in North Sea between England and Norway, as I remember, was almost 300 people lost their lives. The number of people who lost their lives in Chernobyl is less. The number of people who lost their lives in Fukushima is much less. So we have to be ready to penetrate this new era of having the nuclear technology applied in our home country.
Yes, Doctor, and before going to the other report of the daily debate for tonight, I would like to ask you about how big an achievement is it to be having the commencement of units 1, 2, 3, and finally 4 pouring the cement for the 4th nuclear reactor of the Daba nuclear power plant, as to be translating it to the Egyptian citizens that this is an achievement that we have reached.
For sure, and it can say something. We are doing our work as scheduled. We are not wasting time, we are not wasting effort, and everything in this project is going as it was planned. That's it. Everything is going according to the schedule.
Yes, Doctor, allow me to be going to the other report of the daily debate, as we focused on the first report, or in the first report, on the economic benefits of the Daba nuclear power plant that will be generating electricity for the Egyptians for the future. We will be focusing and concentrating on the environmental benefits and perks of the nuclear power plant in Daba, which will be reducing the carbon emissions by 40 million tons upon operation. All this and more in the upcoming reports, so stay tuned.
When Al Dab'a nuclear power plant operates at full capacity, which is 4,800 megawatts, the amount of carbon emissions to be eliminated would be 14 million tons per annum. 1 kilogram of uranium, when enriched by 4%, generates energy that is equivalent to that of 100 tons of high-quality coal or 60 tons of fossil fuel. The Egyptian Nuclear and Radiological Regulatory Authority announced in June the issuance of the permit to build the first reactor at Al Dab'a nuclear power plant. The request to establish the first 2 reactors out of 4 was submitted to the authority on the 1st of January 2019. Since then and until June 2021, the necessary safety report was being prepared, ensuring the availability of qualified workers, safety features in the design and site, and means of conducting safety tests. The results of such tests are compared against criteria of the International Atomic Energy Agency and Russia, given that Rosatom is the company implementing the project. After the authority had ensured that the site is ready for commencing the construction and that no risks shall impact humans, environment, or properties, the permit was approved. In December 2017, Egypt and Russia signed an agreement to start work on Al Dab'a nuclear plant project. Egypt and Russia signed in November 2015 an agreement on cooperation in the field of building and operating the first nuclear power plant in Egypt, with Russian technology worth $26 billion to build a 4-unit nuclear plant. The agreement includes construction of a nuclear plant in Al Dab'a region comprising 4 units, each with a capacity of 1,200 megawatts. The construction of the nuclear plant is expected to be completed within 12 years. The project is scheduled to generate net revenues of $264 billion for the state treasury over 60 years, which is the lifespan of the reactors used at the plant.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I am honored to be having with me over the program for tonight Dr. Ibrahim Ismail, the Professor of Nuclear Materials and the Head of Energy and Environment in the Chemical Engineering Department at Cairo University. Thank you very much once again for being with us tonight.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Doctor, of course, we have seen support given by the political leadership here in Egypt to different projects in different fields in terms of infrastructure, the energy sector, education, health. But for the Al Dab'a nuclear power plant, how big an achievement and support that the political leadership has given from Egypt and from Russia, as we have seen over the past week as well, to this project?
Let's put it that way. Such a project can never be executed, come to reality, if it was not fully supported by the supreme political power in our country and the country that giving us the technology. We are not discussing cement plant or fertilizer plant. We are discussing a nuclear power station.
Yes.
When a country starts its first electric power generated by nuclear power, it is like a milestone in its history. It is something like when we go to the space, something like when we send our first satellite. It is something new, something huge, something give us a lot of pride. We are able to do that. In Egypt, we have some advantages. This dream started by President Nasser, and now we are making a lot of effort in resourcing the uranium fuel locally in Egypt. The Nuclear Material Authority is working very hard now on that.
Yes.
And this uranium can be prepared, can be purified, but then it will be enriched in Russia and coming at the fuel. So we shall be participating also in the nuclear fuel itself. We are passing a lot of milestones by doing this project.
Yes, it is a milestone, as you've mentioned, Doctor, and you've mentioned that a lot of the processes that will be going through for the nuclear reactor will be localized or will be done and made here in Egypt. What is the importance of this step? Because we have seen this step being propagated over different fields that President Assisi always speaks about, that we need to be doing everything or most of the things within here, within Egypt, with Egyptian hands and with Egyptian laborers. What is the importance for this field and for this project to be having most of the process within Egypt?
It is very important because this will give you the technology somehow. I can say that after executing this project, we'll be able ourselves to build another one alone. But the percentage of the local work will increase bit by bit, one reactor after one reactor. Our percentage of local work will increase. Our experience with different times will increase. And we have to know that doing a nuclear power plant is completely different from any other project done before in Egypt. The specification of the concrete is completely different. The specification of electric work is completely different. The type of material used is completely different. Everything is prepared to withstand the severest possible earthquakes, the severest possible radiation. We have done some steps. If we have something like what happened in Fukushima,
Yes.
the molten radioactive material will not escape. It is contained, which is something new added after this accident. So I believe that in 4 or 5 years from now, we will have engineers, we will have laborers, we will have chemists, we have people who are capable to do something 20 years ago, it was a dream for us.
Yes, Doctor, you mentioned that one reactor will be operating after the other. When should we be expecting the first reactor to be operating here in Egypt and the full 4 to be constructed and operating?
It is planned the first one will start producing electricity in 2028, and by 2030, the 4 reactors will be operating.
And for the Egyptian citizens, in terms of electricity, can this be a change? In terms, you mentioned that it would be less expensive
For sure.
for the Egyptian citizens. When can we be feeling the difference, or as you mentioned, the energy mix to be having the nuclear power plant within it?
First of all, the availability of the nuclear power plant is much high compared to any other energy source.
Yes.
The availability for normal thermal power plant utilizing fossil fuels is 60%. The availability of the renewable energy is around 30%. In case of nuclear power, we are above 90%. It is the highest in all types of renewable and energy.
Yes.
Therefore, we can feel it, and the continuity of supplying with electricity will be much easier and much better. Besides, it will give us a chance to export more gas. After this station start operation, there will be a much bigger room to minimize the authorization of fossil fuel and export this natural gas, or using this natural gas as raw material for fertilizer industry, for methanol industry, and exporting the final product, which will give us a new source for foreign currency. And I believe that we all in Egypt now should work as hard as we can to find local resources that can be fabricated into final product that can be exported outside. This is the only way to overcome the current dollar problem. We have to work on our local resources, make the maximum added value to it, and export the final product. This is the route to overcome our current problem.
Yes, for the environmental field or for the environmental part of the nuclear power plant in Al-Daba, it would be reducing the carbon emissions by
For
14 million tons.
For sure.
What is the importance of such a step for the environment in general and more specifically for the climate of Egypt?
First of all, any type of energy is producing some carbon print. The worst for sure is the coal. The best is the hydropower. Hydropower doesn't produce almost everything. In nuclear power, we don't produce carbon at all. And in nuclear power, we don't emit any pollutant at all. This is during normal operation.
Yes.
Everything is contained, everything is within its appropriate position, and it is almost zero waste. Nuclear power problems happens only in case of accidents. But if everything goes appropriate, it is 100% environmentally friendly.
Yes, and Doctor, how do you see the future of cooperation between Egypt and Russia in this field and other fields regarding the economy or energy?
Myself, I visited Russia several times.
Yes.
And I trust them. I have trust in Russians. When they give you a promise, they keep it. Therefore, whatever ideas we can generate together, to develop together, we can do. And I hope that we can work with Russia in field of oil and gas and in the field of minerals. They are very good in this field. If we are able to develop with the Russians some mineral projects like zinc, like copper, like tantalum, if we go with them to look for lithium in Egypt, we don't have a specific location for lithium, but other material we have a specific location for. If we can go with them into this direction, this will help us a lot.
On the other hand, for the safety measures of Al-Daba nuclear power plant, you mentioned, Doctor, that safety is the #1 priority for the Egyptian side, for the Russian side as well. About 60% of the total cost of the Al-Daba nuclear power plant was allocated for the safety measures. How would you comment on such a figure? That's a very big figure, some.
It is a very big figure, but it was a must. Because, as we said, we are all afraid of only one thing, to having an accident. As far as you are doing normal operation, it is very safe, it is environmental friendly, everything is nice. But if we have an accident, how we are going to contain it? So we have to assume from beginning all possible problems that may happen, all accidents that may occur, and put in our system the tool, the way to deal with. This is why it is 6% of the total cost goes only to add safety measures to our system. There is no other technology that needs all this fund for safety.
And how can the nuclear energy be transformed or used in other fields like agriculture, because we need it as well, and medicine, for example?
In nuclear energy, we are transferring it into electricity. Then electricity can do everything you ask for. For example, in agriculture you need to do pumping, irrigation, like the irrigation projects which we are doing now. If we look to what we have done in New Delta, in Daba Road, there is a lot of water pumping station put to transfer the water to this area for reclaiming it and start agriculture in this desert. So all this pumping station consume a lot of amount of energy, electric energy. It will come from Daba.
Could be used, yes.
So this electric energy coming from Daba can be utilized in everything, starting from lighting our homes till we do some ferrosilicon, ferromanganese, such kind of metallurgy projects which needs a huge amount of energy.
Yes, Dr. Ibrahim Ismail, the professor of nuclear materials and the head of energy and environment in the chemical engineering department at Cairo University. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the daily debate for tonight. Thank you for watching and goodbye.